What's up? I'm Steve Eckert, instructor of the project. I'm here with a very special guest. The first time ever we are having an interview with one of the project graduates' spouses, Sabrina Fields. Thank you for coming on and talking with me. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day and coming speaking with us.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So this is going to be something totally different, a total different perspective than most people are used to when we're talking about the project. It's either myself or one of the instructors explaining the project, or even the graduates talking about the project, or maybe even guys who quit the project. So that's a one side of the line. Now we're going to talk to you about the other side of the line, the other perspective. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be a little different than we're used to hearing and talking about. So I'm just as interested in this as I'm sure as everyone out there that's watching this. So let's jump right into it. When Ben, he was in class 004, if I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. When he first told you about the project, just going through your head, when he was just explaining it to you, how did that conversation start? What was it like?
Oh, goodness. I don't know that I remember the exact moment he first brought it up to me, but it wasn't out of the norm for him to want to do something like this. He's done other things before to push himself and grow himself. Like he's done a 24-hour walk. He's done training courses that are several days long that have been very physical. Nothing to the extent of the project before that, but so it wasn't totally abnormal for him to find something like this and approach me about it. And so it wasn't a complete shock. But I think after seeing, and so he was a class 004, so there'd only been 3 classes before him. So it was still fairly new. And so the few videos and things that I saw was a little more concerned than I had been before. But even at the beginning, I knew that he could do it. I had no doubt in my mind that it would be something that would grow him and challenge him and change him for the better.
That's awesome. So pretty much did he have your support right from the beginning when he first told you about it? And you know, this is an expensive course. This is the highest level of personal development you can have. Did you have your support right from the beginning with it, even after you saw the videos?
Yes, absolutely. I know that he's very particular about the things that he invests in. He does the research, he does the questions, just asking people questions, looking online, trying to figure out if it is a good fit, if it is worth it for the future, for himself, for the amount of money that he's spending. And so, I mean, I always trust him with the decisions he's making in terms of that. So yeah, I was on board from the beginning. Worried for his, you know, just the physicality that he was about to endure. That part was a little worrisome. I'm just worried how many bumps and bruises and scrapes and everything else he'd come back with. But I knew ultimately it'd be worth it.
Awesome. What was it about the videos that was like concerning to you? Because those could be a little intimidating. We put like some real cool, high intensity, high energy stuff. And I'm thinking of a spouse, it could be alarming to you. So what was it about the video that you kind of caught your attention?
Well, at this point, I'm not sure, because I know that I've watched his videos from class 004 and I've seen the other videos since. And so I don't specifically remember the ones from before, but being on this side of it and watching the videos of him, like the highlight video of himself and of his class, it just, I don't know, it brings up this deep sense of pride for him, of him, just knowing that he would endure something like that to better himself and to better our family. And I don't know, it just makes me really, really proud.
Wow, that's freaking awesome. And to hear that there wasn't any resistance from you in the first place, because this is a pretty expensive course in, you know, the way most people would look at it. And for you just to trust his judgment and know that he kind of felt the need to do this and not resist him against this. Because I'll tell you, 90% of the men that we speak to, what their excuse is their wives. Oh, my wife wouldn't let me do it. My wife wasn't on board. My wife and as crazy as this sounds, they'll tell us my wife will divorce me if I go and do this. If I go and spend this money, like more often than you think, like that's how serious it is. So it's so awesome to hear it coming from this side that you were right on board right away. And I wish these other men and women out there can see this and realize that's the way it should be, right? You should have the trust in him to make those decisions. Otherwise, that's not even a marriage then. If he would have to get your permission, you know what I mean? To if he can go better himself and make himself a better husband, an even better father, an even better leader. Like, what is there to discuss about? There's not much to discuss if you have that strong relationship already. So that's awesome that you had that already. Why do you think it was important for him to go through this? You kind of know what the purpose of it. It's all about the family, the fitness, the finances, and faith, meaning faith in himself and self-confidence. Why did you, from your side, and this is the part that we want you to be pretty honest and open about, and he's already made it through and you already have a strong relationship, so you're not going to hurt his feelings or anyone's feelings. When you saw it, what was it inside you that's like, yeah, he needs to go do that because that's going to help you out? What was it that you knew he needed to get out of it from your side?
I mean, he's he's always been such a good husband, such a good father. And family's always been really important to him. I mean, even growing up, their family was really close. So all of the foundations for that were there. And even business wise, like God has given him such a good business mind. But he knows that he can always be better with things. And so I think still just goes back to him always wanting to get better, to be the next better version of himself, to keep growing, to keep building on what's already there. And I may be jumping ahead with some of this, but one of the things I've seen since him coming back is the way he encourages our daughters to push, to even going around the neighborhood on their bikes, attack the hill, attack the hill. We're going to attack this. We're going to do it. We're going to conquer it. We're going to do well with it. And so seeing their confidence build because of the confidence he had in them, because of the confidence that he's had in himself, like that's been incredible to see. Not that it wasn't there before. He learned some things going through the projects, sitting through the classes, learning from the instructors, having that brotherhood, has just instilled in him more of a sense of purpose, I think, not just himself, but like he has daughters that he's raising. He has a wife that he's partnering with in life. He has a business that he's leading and running. And so it's, I don't think there was necessarily one specific area that he needed improving on, but just knowing that we can always be better at what we're doing, that's really come out a lot in the last year.
Wow, that just hearing of what you're saying with him doing with your daughter, going up the hill on a bike, that alone makes it worth 10 times whatever the price is. Like just to have that extra little bit of being a role model mindset is what we call it, just role modeling the way. And how old is she?
Our oldest one is 6. Okay,
wow. And so that's a young age to start programming them into that mindset. Like that's some powerful stuff right there. Like that's deep and powerful stuff. That right there makes it all worth it. Like hearing that just makes this interview worth it. Like that is just awesome. It makes all the suffering and torture that we put that poor man through for 75 hours. It makes it all worth it just to hear that. That's just freaking awesome. What are some other significant changes that you've seen in him since he graduated?
Goodness. I think the fitness aspect has always been a big deal to him since I've known him. And my dad passed away when I was 14 from a heart attack. He was overweight, smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, didn't watch what he ate. And so health has always been important to me because of that. And when Ben and I met, it was already a big deal to him. And so that's, like I said, that's always been a part of our relationship. But
Mhm.
I think working up to the project, being able to do some of those workouts together, and then post project, watching him recover from that a little bit, and how he recovered was even more different, I think, than because his mentality was different.
Mhm.
Just knowing that it was in him, knowing that he could do this, he would get better. He would be back to 100% eventually. And then, and that, like, I think seeing him recover from that, and keep going, to keep continuing to get better, to keep wanting to work out, to focus on fitness, to on his health, and encouraging us along the way too. Like, we do family workouts almost once a week. And I've even, starting at the beginning of this year, the days that he gets up super early to go meet with his trainer, I try and get up super early to do my workout at home. So just like, it's spilling over into us, and hopefully into people he knows, people I know. And like, it's a trickle effect. Like, it's not just contained within him. Like, it's so embedded in him. It's so much a part of him that it's overflowing. It's spilling out.
Wow, that's freaking awesome. So it's like being a higher level leader in all areas of life, being a role model in all areas of life. That's like a force multiplier. It's affecting you. It's affecting your kids. And think about it. If it's affecting your kids, that's affecting a whole nother generation and everyone that they're going to come into contact in their life. And the impact that Ben is making it on the world, your daughters are going to make 10 times more of an impact, because look how young they're starting to think about it. Look what they're getting. It's like a force multiplier. And even just impacting strangers, a stranger in the grocery store, just by the way you're conducting yourself, the way you're carrying yourself, it's awesome. So what I'm hearing you say is, well, let me ask you this, maybe not. After he graduated, came back, he's probably full of energy, full of fire, besides the recovering from the,
Right.
the suffering and whatever else, little bumps and scratches and bruises that he might have got. Besides recovering from that, he probably came back highly motivated, almost seemed a little different, a little awkward. How was it when he first came back with that kind of maybe intensity that he brought back with him, and that kind of focus and drive? How did you deal with that? How did you feel about that?
It wasn't completely abnormal for him, actually. Like I've said, that
he's a freak just like the rest of us then, basically.
Yes.
Awesome. He fits in perfect around here.
You said it, not me. But yeah, we were talking about like books the other day. He is constantly listening to an audiobook, or 2 or 3 at the same time. And he listened to close to 60 books last year alone. And that's not just even a quarantine year. That's normal for him. But I think, like, watching him, there was something with the project that it wasn't just him. It affected all of us. And so his drive, even though that had been there before, I guess the intensity you're talking about, like with it spilling out, like it's affected me a little bit more too. Like I've, the change, it's been slower with me, but the change happening in me is because of him, because of what I've seen God do in him, what happened with the project, things he's done since then, just the continuing to better himself. I'm slowly catching on, like, oh, I can do that too. It's not just his personality. It's a drive that has been fed and continue to grow because he keeps feeding it. He keeps finding ways to feed that drive, because it's so easy to just be like, you know what, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to sit it out. And then 3 weeks later, you still haven't picked up a barbell again. You still haven't gone for that walk or run. And so it's a continual decision to keep going, to keep doing. And it's, I keep saying it over and over, but it's affecting all of us in a really good way.
Awesome. And that kind of answers almost the next question I was going to have, is that, so it's called a 75-hour course, and we'll get people say, oh, wow, I can't spend that amount of money for a 75-hour course. From your perspective, has this been just a 75-hour course?
Not at all. It started way before when he signed up with registration, with the pre-interview, even the communication that you guys had with them before they went. Like I was a little intimidated by you guys, even at the beginning, but and then that week, it was tough. I mean, obviously he was going through a lot more than I was, but not being able to talk to him that week, having no idea like where he was each moment. And I still remember finally seeing a video that you guys had posted on Instagram of all the guys pulling the truck with the rope. And I think I must have watched that video about 100 times,
Wow.
just to get a small glimpse of where he was and what he was doing. You're like, okay, he's still there. He's still going. This may have been posted 10 hours ago, but like, I know what's happening at least a little bit.
He's still in the game. He's still attacking the hill. He's still healthy. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so it was tough, really tough not being able to talk to him. But also knowing that he was okay and learning and growing and being beaten and torn down only to be built back up again. It was really cool. I have a friend whose husband has been in military for, I think since they met, and even getting some encouragement from her, because Ben had talked to her husband about a month before he went to California. And she said, their purpose isn't to kill him. Their purpose is to tear him down, yes, but to build him back up into a better version of himself, which you guys have said too. And so
break
I think
down
hearing that
to break through. That's what we say. We want to break them down so they can have the breakthroughs.
Yes. And that's exactly what happened. And so that just kept replaying in my mind again and again from you guys, from what Ben had told me from you guys, and hearing it from her perspective too was really helpful. Even though her husband hasn't done the project, he's been on the military side of things, and she's been out of communication, and just had those same, like, I'm not comparing the project to the military. I know it's
yeah.
two sides.
I hear what you're saying. It's a similar thing. They're away, and she's his wife, I'm sure, is an expert at dealing with that stuff. And think about the credit that the military wives deserve after you've experienced it for 4 days. Sometimes they're going a year,
right?
Sometimes weeks at a time with zero communication, sometimes a year or a year and a half with their spouse being away. So they deserve a lot of credit also, but you got a taste of what that's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So when he came back with this, different level of, even though he's already kind of crazy on this, you were saying, he came back a little different type of focus, a little different drive, started spilling into everyone, right when he came back. Now, a lot of people go to motivational workshops and seminars and stuff for like a weekend, and they come back, they're all on fire on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and by Thursday, it fizzles out and they go back to living a life of mediocrity and being average. And he's now close to a year, I think, since he's graduated, pretty much, right?
It's a year this week.
Oh, wow. So you know the date, even. You know the exact time and date. That's awesome. So, well,
the world kind of changed the week that he was gone, so that helps.
Yeah. All right. He was the Corona class, we called them, because that's when the whole thing started. Yep. So did it fade out, the energy, the enthusiasm, the drive, since he graduated to now? And now it's a year later. Is the project still affecting his daily life, or is it just like people go to those seminars, they jump up and down, they high five people, they're giving hugs to each other, and they go home, and that fizzles out because it was just fake external motivation? How is it? Has it lasted throughout this entire year? Has it faded? Has it grown? What's it been like?
Honestly, there's probably been some fade just because there's been some time and distance, but nothing like the fades that you see after like the motivational weekends you're talking about. I think the connection with the brotherhood has been huge. He went back as a cadre. And the second he even brought that up, I was like, yes, go, be there, be a part of it. Encourage that next class. May have been 2 classes after his, but I have been all for it. And he keeps the connections. He'll bring up something like, there's this one brother who does this thing for his business. And so, but we have the connection of the project. I'm like, awesome. Yeah. Like, um, that much more about him because he's been through what you've been through, even if you're in separate classes. Like, there's still that connection that you don't have with just anybody off the street. And it's, yeah, I mean, if there's been a fade, it's been like maybe a 1% kind of fade. Nothing like the 90 to 95% fade that you see from other things.
So a year later, he's still reaping the rewards and feeling the benefits and the increased levels of drive and energy and focus and enthusiasm that he came back with a year ago, pretty much.
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty good. So this is far more than just a 75-hour course. It's not you're going to 4 days and that's it. That's awesome to hear that he's still going strong with it. And so he came back as a junior instructor for like 2 classes after his graduation. So you're telling me after he went through this suffering and torture that he wanted to come back and for more and as a junior instructor. And let me tell you, the junior instructors, I don't know if he told you about it, they're working harder than the candidates are. They are behind the scenes. They're up all night, setting everything up. They are busting their asses behind the scenes. So you're telling me he volunteered to take another week out of his life to come back and do that, and explain that, and you mentioned it already, but how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, there was, I think I thought he was a little less crazy this time around, because I knew the benefits of it and the camaraderie and everything else. The bonus thing this time, though, was that I was still able to talk to him. I didn't have to disconnect from him for the week. And so it was, and I felt like I was a little more on the inside this time too, because he was able to send me updates and I kept asking him questions like, how many are left? How are they doing? Like, what's, have they been in the ocean yet? Have they done the ice bath yet? Have they done this? How are they handling that? So it was
Any
cool.
horror stories that he's told you about me, they are untrue. They're all just made up. It's not true. Whatever he's told you.
Of course. Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool for him to be able to go back, to have the insider's perspective the second time around.
And he didn't get paid to even go do that, right? I mean, he volunteered his time. That's about a week because it's 4 days itself. He had to get there a day early. I'm guessing he left a day later. That's pretty much a full week that he was volunteering his time. And that's awesome. We appreciate that he did that. We appreciate you. He wouldn't be able to do that. And none of the project candidates, graduates, even us instructors, we wouldn't be able to do it without the spouses with the support, holding down the fort at home. And you're living with your own project there when you're there by yourself with the kids, I'm sure. So we appreciate the support that you give. And I wish all the candidates' wives can have a call with you because they would all be on board just like that. That's freaking awesome. You're awesome. So I appreciate that. And thanks for that. And thanks for joining us here on the call. So let me just finish off with this. Someone that's in your shoes where their husbands come into them and maybe they're not as good of a relationship as you had, and that's kind of why they need it. What's some advice or thoughts you'd give to that woman or even to that candidate that they're in that situation? Because yours is a little different. A lot of times men come to the project because they're struggling in their relationship with their spouse. So when they go to their spouse for that, they're not getting the support. They tell them, no, you big dummy, you're not going to go spend $12,000 to go to hang out with a bunch of guys in the mud. That's what they see it as. They don't see it as a different level. So what's some words of advice you have for those people who maybe don't have as strong a relationship as you going into that conversation about whether or not they should go to the project?
This isn't just a weekend getaway with the guys. This is a lifetime investment. Our family, even just in 1 year, has benefited mentally, socially, physically, spiritually from the experience that Ben had during those 75 hours. And that's just a year. Like, it's still continuing. There's still classes going through. There's still guys that Ben gets to pour into and to encourage and motivate. Even from the East Coast, he's able to have a connection with guys who are about to experience an incredibly life-changing event. That's something we've learned in our own marriage struggles, and the marriage counseling and seminars and things that we've done, is that you can't affect change around you unless you work on yourself, because you're only responsible for yourself. And so if your husband wants to go better himself, let him let him do that, because that's going to affect your marriage. It's going to affect your children. It's going to affect your family as a unit. It's going to affect your neighbors and your friends and extended family, for years. It's not just going to be a come home, I'm going to recover from my bumps and bruises and move on with life. It's a mental change. It's just the foundation. Like, it's building a better foundation for a lifetime. It's huge. It's worth it.
That is freaking awesome. The craziest part about this interview right here is I literally just met you when we just went on this call right now. I've never met you before. We've never spoken before. I sent you one email asking if you'd be willing to come to an interview. And I just said, we're going to talk about your perspective, experience before, during, and after the project. And that was it. And this is the stuff you're coming up with. And this just even more solidifies in my mind, like the impact and the effect that the project is having on men and their families, because everything you're saying is like, I couldn't have coached you better to say this stuff. And this is just you naturally saying this. This is freaking awesome. So I appreciate taking the time out of your day. I'll let you get back to the project of being a mother at home and work and kicking ass in life. And if you need anything, if you or Ben need anything, just let me know. We're here 24 hours a day to help you out. And thanks a lot for coming on the show. I'll talk to you soon.
Sure thing. Thanks so much.